salt, NaCl, and penicillin, C16H18N2O4S, are arguably two of the most important molecules in the history of the world, keeping millions from dying and even more healthy. Salting, a way of preserving meats and other foods, have been something humans have always done, but can be traced back to around 12,000 BC, when nomadic tribes would salt their game in order for it not to go bad. This let them carry food with them for longer and helped them in their travels. The reason salting works is because of a process called osmosis. This is when there are two substances and one has more water than the other. The water wants to move out where it is confined in order to have more space. So in this instance, it moves to the salt. Think of it as a crowd in a room, and it's really crowded. If someone opens a door, everyone will move to the other room so that they will have more space. This is what happens with the water and the meat. This also happens with the bacteria in the meat, as bacteria is largely made up of water. The same process happens and the bacteria dries up and dies. Because of salt's importance to preservation of food, and because it was so scarce, it was worth a lot of money. This is how the richest man in the history of the world, King Mansa Musa, got his wealth. He owned so much salt, and because of the cost of it and the importance of it, he could ask for just about anything. This was in the year 1312. Let's take a leap forward in time to 1928, when a scientist known as Alexander Fleming accidentally found penicillin when one of his projects went wrong. His project accidentally got molded, but from this, he learned about penicillin. He noticed something was fighting the bacteria in the mold, and he would soon learn that this was penicillin. Penicillin works through it originally attacking the enzymes in the cell walls. From there, the walls weaken, therefore the penicillium can mesh and connect with the bacteria's cell wall. From there, it is much of the same thing like salt, but a little bit different. The osmotic pressure makes it so that the different pressures make the bacteria pop, therefore dying. The different pressures and the waters from one to the other makes it so that it pops. In 1938, salt was first used on the roads as an experiment. People learned quickly that putting salt on ice on the roads could save lives. Accidents reduce 88% when salt is used on icy roads. The reason this works is because H2O creates a solid when at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason this is because the particles in the different molecules come together and create a solid. They can't move as much, so they create a solid. However, salt disrupts this process. The salt breaks into two ions when it hits ice. These two ions, Na and Cl, can move around and take up space between the molecules, pushing them apart so they cannot form links to create ice. This is called freezing point depression. Salt basically lowers the freezing point of water. In 1942, penicillin was first used to cure someone through the process explained earlier. In 2000, a study showed that over 2 million people have been saved from penicillin. If these two molecules did not exist in the world would be a very different place. My predictions of changes in the world would start at millions and millions of people would have died. Penicillin is used in many medications, and if these medications did not have penicillin, then they would not work, of course, which means millions of people would have died from these diseases. Also, many people would have died from not having salt. And if people didn't die, then they would have to, from starvation, then they would have to go out and hunt every single day. However, many people didn't have to do this because they had salt. And finally, Many people would die from car accidents each year during the winter because of the ice not being on the road. Many more accidents would happen, and many more people would die because of this. Just in general, lots of people would die. I hope to teach people two things from this. First, don't take anything for granted. Even without these two molecules, the world would be a much different place, and we should not take that for granted. Many people could have died if these were not around, and it is very important to know that because these two elements are here, we are alive. Second, I hope that I've taught people about two of, if not the most important molecules. These created the world as we know it, and without them, life would probably be much different.